Hello ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, it is going to be another movie review. And I am going to be reviewing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, because that's all we really can call it, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise's attempt at a requel. And that was a term kind of floating around the last little while anyway, but I guess it was officially established in Scream 5 as to what it really is. But essentially, it's a sequel that wipes away everything else before it except for the original, or for the most part, it's not always exactly that, but then it incorporates a healthy mix of past elements and legacy characters, as well as new elements and new characters. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 decided to take the route of saying that everything that came after the original did not count, does not exist, it is only the original and now this. And the returning characters are Leatherface and sort of Sally, but we'll get into that later. So, just like Halloween 2018 and Scream 5, did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 manage to recapture that magic with a bit of requel flair? Well, we're about to find out. And as always with my new movie reviews, this will be 110% spoiler free, so you can proceed with confidence. Before I hop into the actual review itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my new movie reviews. So be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. So the first thing up on the positives list, and the number one thing that everyone is wondering about, is the kills. And I am happy to report that the kills are gory, gruesome, and oddly creative. If you are strictly watching this movie for the kills and the gore, then you will be satisfied and probably love it, because it is super gnarly and actually has a pretty high body count. The next positive, and yes, I am putting it in the positives, it has a mercifully short runtime. The movie only clocks in at like an hour and 10 or an hour and 12 minutes, and thank God, because the first 40 minutes or so drag on for so long that if the movie were like an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes, I probably wouldn't have gotten through it. So yeah, the runtime being as short as it is, making it a nice, easy, and like hour-long watch is definitely a good thing. I'm actually surprised to bring you this positive, but I felt there was actually one good character in this movie. Yes, just one. Sarah Yarkin as Melody is the only one I found to even be remotely likable. She makes mostly good decisions, a few stupid ones here and there in typical slasher fashion, and she really is the only one that feels like a real human, that makes real decisions and can actually think and feel. So bravo to Sarah Yarkin for actually being a decent on-screen presence in this movie. The last little positive I wanted to address is that I actually think this movie is competently shot and made. Like the director, the cinematographer, they know what they're doing. The movie looks good and clean, it's just the script. So I feel like if you gave this director a decent script, you know, like actually something to work with, he could make a pretty good movie. As well as the makeup and stuff like that too. I don't mean like just the director or just the cinematographer. I feel like everyone on the crew in this movie did a good job because it's actually a well-made, well-shot, decent-looking movie. It's just the actual content of the movie that's the issue. And now for the negatives. And I'm just sitting here like, where to begin? I'm gonna try to keep this as short and sweet as possible because this could probably turn into a full-blown rant if I really wanted to and I let it, but I don't want to do that. I'm typically one for keeping things short and sweet, so I'm gonna try to do that. The characters in this movie are so inconsistent and dumb. I don't like to use the word dumb or stupid or things like that very often, but yeah, these characters are just dumb. I mean, they are almost always making the most idiotic choices possible. So idiotic that these can't be real people. And they're so inconsistent, like tonally and with their choices as well. Like, one second they're being all like racist, gun-loving assholes, and the next second they're being all like sympathetic and empathetic and sweet. Or the one second this person is all like really nice and really this and that, and then the next second they're being like a total dick to someone. Like, they flip-flop on their motives, on their tone, on their personality non-stop, and it is unbelievably frustrating. This movie boasts some incredibly lazy writing. The dialogue is generic and horrendous. The plot drags and drags and drags until Leatherface actually does something, which was with like 30 minutes left. The setup for the movie overall just felt very weak and paper thin. You go through the whole movie feeling like nothing is happening. Like, what are the stakes? Why are we here? Who is the hero? Where is any of the character development? It just kind of takes place. The next negative is that this movie is unbearably predictable. You could probably guess every single thing that is going to happen long before it ever occurs. Also, I'm pretty sad to report, actually not really because I didn't care for it in the beginning, but Sally is barely in the movie at all. They tried to advertise this movie the exact same way that they advertised Halloween 2018 with Laurie versus Michael 40 years later, and they tried to do the same thing thinking that we felt the same and cared the same for Sally from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where the actress actually passed away in real life. They thought we were going to care the same about Sally returning to face off against Leatherface 50 years later that we did for Halloween 2018, and for me personally, that's just not the case at all. But if by chance you were hyped for that and looking forward to that in this movie, well, you should definitely reset your expectations, because she has like 5 minutes of screen time. And then in typical slasher fashion, because I don't really see this as a spoiler, but there's a big shock ending, and it's a shock ending for the sake of having a shock ending. Like, it happens in the blink of an eye, and it just feels so pointless to me. It's just in there for the sake of having it in there. So in the end, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is not a good movie. The negatives definitely outweigh the positives, but if you're going to see this movie strictly for the kills alone, then you will have a good time. And that's really what I went into it for. Of course, I'm giving you a review, so I did take notes and I was, critical of it. But at the end of the day, it's a slasher and I wanted to see slashing, and that's what I got. Look, it's a slasher that's a slasher, so I'm going to be giving Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 a 5 out of 10. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my review. While you're at it, feel free to let me know what your thoughts were on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 and what you would score it out of 10. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.